My friend, listen to me now, because what I'm about to say could change your life. Your future, your peace, your success, and even your connection with God depend on this truth. Your mind is a battlefield. The most important war you will ever fight is not with your enemies, not with people who have wronged you, not with the world outside, but with your very own thoughts. Your mind is the gate to your soul, and if you don't learn to control your thoughts will control you. And when that happens, the enemy doesn't even have to attack you from the outside, because you are already defeated from within. I speak to you now with urgency because we are living in a time when the mind is under relentless assault. From every screen, every word, every situation, thoughts are being planted. You don't even realize it, but your thoughts are shaping your reality. You think a thought, and that thought becomes a feeling. That feeling becomes a decision. That decision becomes a habit. And that habit becomes your life. But it all started with a single thought. And if that thought was not from God, then where did it come from? My friend, understand this: not every thought that enters your mind is yours. You must hear me loud and clear. Just because a thought appears in your head doesn't mean it belongs to you. Some thoughts are planted by doubt. Some are planted by fear. Some are sent by those who wish to see you fail. And some are even sent by unseen forces that want to destroy everything God is trying to build in your life. But here's the truth: God has given you the power to choose. You can't always control what thoughts come to your mind, but you can control what thoughts you allow to stay. Many people are prisoners, not because they are behind bars, but because they are chained by their own minds. They wake up with worry. They go to bed with anxiety. They replay every failure, every insult, every mistake. They torment themselves with what ifs and should haves. But I tell you, God did not design your mind to be a dungeon of regret. God designed your mind to be a garden of faith. And you must learn to protect it with everything you have. Do you know why so many people can't move forward in life? Because they've allowed negative thoughts to dig deep roots in their mind. A single seed of self-doubt, watered with fear, can grow into a tree that blocks out the light of God's truth. And when the light is blocked, you begin to forget who you are. You begin to believe you are weak. You begin to believe that your situation is hopeless. You begin to believe that God has forgotten you. But let me tell you something: God has never forgotten you. It is not God who left your side. It is your thoughts that led you away from Him. When God created you, He placed within you a power so great that no force on earth can stop you when you align your thoughts with His will. That is why the battle for your thoughts is so fierce, because your thoughts determine your direction. If the enemy can poison your thoughts, he can destroy your purpose. But if you can align your thoughts with God, there is no mountain you cannot climb, no obstacle you cannot overcome, no pain you cannot heal from, because God becomes your strength and your thoughts become your weapons. You must train your mind to reject what doesn't come from God. If a thought brings fear, it is not from God. If a thought brings confusion, it is not from God. If a thought makes you feel worthless, unloved, forgotten, it is a lie, and you must cast it out like a disease. You must replace that lie with God's truth. And God's truth says you are chosen. God's truth says you are strong. God's truth says you have a purpose, and your life is not an accident. You were created by design for a reason. And if God gave you life, He gave you the mind to protect it. Let me tell you something bold. What you feed your mind becomes your reality. If you constantly feed it garbage, negativity, hopelessness, comparison, and lies, then your life will reflect exactly that. But if you feed your mind faith, strength, wisdom, gratitude, discipline, and the remembrance of God, then you will rise. You will walk through storms with peace. You will face your enemies with courage. You will rest at night, knowing that the same God who brought you through yesterday will carry you through tomorrow. You've got to stop letting your thoughts run wild. A wild mind is a dangerous mind. A wild mind will have you fearing things that haven't even happened. A wild mind will have you building walls between you and the very people who love you. A wild mind will keep you stuck in the past, afraid of the future, and blind to the blessings in the present. But when you train your thoughts, when you discipline your mind, when you place God at the center of your thinking, everything changes. Discipline your mind like a soldier disciplines his weapon. Don't entertain every thought. Don't let your emotions run the show. Emotions come and go, but truth remains. God remains. And the truth is this: you are not your thoughts. You are what you choose to do with them. When a thought comes that does not align with what God has spoken over your life, cast it down immediately. Speak against it. Don't sit with it. Don't entertain it. Don't nurse it. Reject it with the authority God has placed inside of you. Some of you are waiting for your life to change, but God is waiting for your thinking to change. You want new blessings, but your mind is stuck in old patterns. You want peace, but your thoughts are full of war. You want strength, but your thoughts tell you you're weak. I'm here to tell you, you don't have to live like this. You can rise, you can break free, you can be renewed. But the change doesn't start outside, it starts within. The moment you say, no more. I will not allow my thoughts to rule me. I will not be a slave to fear. I will not be driven by what ifs. I will think with the mind God gave me. I will think thoughts of peace, strength, purpose, and power. I will fill my mind with truth. I will guard my thoughts like a fortress. I will not let doubt enter these gates ever again. That is the moment your life begins to shift. You have to be ruthless with your thoughts. Let me say that again. You have to be ruthless with your thoughts. Don't give fear a second to breathe. Don't give anxiety a corner to hide in. Don't give regret a seat at your table. Your mind is holy ground. Don't let it be trampled by lies. Guard it. Strengthen it. Train it. And how do you do that? By feeding it with what comes from God. Speak remembrance every morning. Speak gratitude every night. When a negative thought enters your mind, respond with faith. When your mind says, you can't, answer back with, God can. When your mind says, you're not enough, respond with, God is more than enough, and I am with Him. My friend, there is no greater power than the mind that is fixed on God. A mind filled with God's remembrance is unshakable. It doesn't mean you won't face problems, but it means the problems won't face you the same way, because you'll have the thoughts of a warrior. You'll have the mind of one who walks with God. And when your thoughts align with His truth, even in the darkest hour, you will feel peace. Even in chaos, you will remain calm. Even in loss, you will not lose your purpose, because your mind will not be shaken by what is seen. It will be anchored in what is eternal. Some people will think you're strange. Some will not understand the peace you carry, the strength you walk in, the way you do not panic like everyone else. That's okay. Let them wonder, because what they don't know is that you are not controlled by circumstances, you are led by truth, you are not ruled by fear, you are rooted in faith, you are not a product of your environment, you are a product of your connection with God, and your thoughts are no longer random. They are intentional. They are shaped by divine wisdom, not by the noise of the world. Let me speak clearly to your heart now. Controlling your thoughts is not just a mental practice, it is a spiritual discipline. It is an act of worship. It is an act of protection. It is an act of obedience. Because every time you choose to align your thoughts with what is right, noble, peaceful, and strong, you are honoring the one who created your mind in the first place. You are saying to God, I trust you with my thoughts. I will not let my mind wander into places you never called me to go. And let me tell you, the more you practice this, the stronger you will become. Just like muscles grow with repetition, your mind becomes stronger each time you choose right thinking over reckless thinking. Each time you reject a lie, you build a wall of protection. Each time you feed your mind with truth, You plant seeds that will grow into peace. And the more you do this, the more you will walk in clarity. You will make better decisions. You will speak with more confidence. You will attract peace instead of drama. You will feel lighter because your thoughts will no longer weigh you down. This is the life God wants for you. Not a life of torment, not a life of confusion, but a life of discipline, strength, peace, and clarity. And it starts by mastering the one thing you truly have power over, your thoughts. And I say to you now, with every fiber of urgency in my soul, if you do not take dominion over your thoughts will take dominion over you. Your mind is not a playground, it is a battlefield. And you cannot afford to be casual on a battlefield. You must wake up every day with your mind armed, not just with knowledge, but with remembrance. Remembrance of God, remembrance of who you are and who He created you to be. Some of you listening have been walking around with thoughts that were never meant to live in your mind. You've been babysitting fears that are not from God. You've been hosting anxiety like it's a permanent guest. You've been allowing memories of past mistakes to haunt your present peace. And the tragedy is not what happened to you. It's that you allowed what happened to you to become your identity. But hear this loud and clear. God never defined you by your past. God defines you by your potential. And your potential cannot come alive until your thinking comes into alignment with His divine truth. You cannot rise while your thoughts remain low. You cannot expect a life of power while your mind is filled with weakness. You cannot walk in the strength of God while your thoughts kneel at the feet of fear. So it is time. It is time to evict every lie. Time to silence every voice in your mind that tells you that you are broken, that you are not enough, that you have nothing left to offer. Those voices are not from God, and anything that is not from God must go. Let me tell you something most people will never say. There is a war going on inside you, and your mind is the throne. Whoever wins that war becomes the ruler of your life. If you let fear win, fear rules. If you let shame win, shame rules. But if you let God's truth win, then peace rules, strength rules, clarity rules, and your life begins to reflect the order and the power of God Himself. That is not wishful thinking. That is divine order. Let's go even deeper. Do you know what the real danger is? The danger is not the storm outside your house. The real danger is when the storm gets inside your mind. That's when you lose sleep. That's when you start second-guessing everything. That's when you turn blessings into burdens and opportunities into threats. But if your mind is anchored in God, then even in the middle of the storm, you will be still. Even when the waves crash, your thoughts will not be tossed around. Because peace is not the absence of trouble. Peace is the presence of God in your thoughts. And that's what God wants from you, not just for you to believe in Him in theory, but for your thoughts to become a temple where He dwells. A sanctuary of remembrance, a fortress of faith, a place where doubt cannot breathe and fear cannot take root. Imagine a mind so full of God that there is no room left for insecurity. Imagine a mind so trained in discipline that negativity dies before it can take hold. That kind of mind is not just possible, it is your calling. But let me be clear, it doesn't happen by accident. You must be deliberate. You must be intentional. You must make your mind a sacred space. Just as you clean your house, you must clean your thoughts. Just as you lock your doors at night, you must lock out thoughts that come to rob you of your peace. Some of you are too open with your mind. You let anyone speak into it. You watch anything. You scroll endlessly. And without knowing, you are letting your enemies decorate the walls of your thoughts. That's why your mind feels so cluttered. That's why peace feels so fodder. That's why focus has become a stranger. But today is the day you take it back. You take back the gate of your mind. You take back your right to decide what enters and what must be cast out. Not every thought deserves your attention. Not every voice deserves your agreement. And not every memory deserves a seat in your future. You must learn to evict what God never sent. There is something sacred about a mind filled with remembrance of God. Because when your thoughts are anchored in Him, everything changes. Your decisions become wiser. Your relationships become clearer. Your reactions become calmer. Your dreams become bolder. Your self-worth no longer depends on opinions but on divine truth. You are no longer moved by flattery or wounded by insults, because your thoughts are not built on sand. They are built on the unshakable foundation of your Creator's voice. You were never meant to live at the mercy of your emotions. You were never created to be led by impulse or paralyzed by fear. You were formed by God with intention, with excellence, and with power. That power begins with your thoughts. The same God who created the universe gave you the ability to shape your inner world by how you think. And when your thoughts become aligned with that divine wisdom, you no longer see life the same way. You don't just react, you respond. You don't just survive, you lead. You don't just dream, you build. Because now you are walking with a sound mind, a God-filled mind. Don't you know how valuable that is? A sound mind is not common, it is a gift. In a world filled with noise, distraction, and deception, a mind that remembers God is a rare treasure. It is a light in the darkness. It is peace in the middle of confusion. It is power that cannot be explained by this world. And if you have that mind, if you train that mind, no darkness can overpower you. But you must commit. You must make a choice. You must say, I will not be passive. I will no longer let my thoughts drift like a ship without an anchor. I will fight for clarity. I will fight for peace. I will fight for purity in my thinking, because I know that my destiny is tied to what I think. And I will no longer allow my thoughts to be poisoned by fear or tainted by the past. I will fill my mind with light. I will fill it with purpose. I will fill it with God. Every day, your mind is either building your future or breaking it. And the most dangerous thing is when you don't even realize what you're letting in. That's why you must become conscious of what you're feeding your thoughts. Every word you read, every conversation you entertain, every image you see, they are either feeding your faith or starving it. And if something starves your faith, you must cut it off. Not tomorrow. Today, if it clouds your thoughts, it is stealing from your destiny. If it weakens your confidence in God, it is too expensive to keep. You were not meant to think like everyone else. You were meant to rise above. You were meant to see with different eyes, to think with a different mind, to walk with a different energy. And that difference begins when God becomes the center of your thoughts, not just sometimes, not just when things go wrong, but always. Continually, consistently. Even when life is good, even when everything feels right, still God remains your focus. Because let me tell you something, peace is not found when the storm ends. Peace is found when God becomes your atmosphere. When God is the air you think with, the space your thoughts breathe in, the foundation under every decision. That is when peace begins to reign. That is when strength begins to grow. That is when clarity becomes your portion and confusion dies. So I urge you now, with everything in me, begin today. Train your thoughts. Examine your thinking. Cleanse your mental habits. And submit your mind back to the one who created it. He knows what you need. He knows what you're capable of. And He will strengthen you as you discipline your thoughts to reflect His greatness. The world may be filled with chaos, but you will walk in order. The world may panic, but your thoughts will rest in power. Others may fall into despair, but you will rise with quiet confidence because you know who holds your mind. And when God holds your mind, there is no force in existence that can shake you from your purpose. And now hear this deeply, my friend, not with your ears, but with your spirit. Your thoughts are sacred territory. The mind is not a place for confusion, corruption, or compromise. It is a field planted by the hands of God, intended to bear fruit that honors His name. But the question is, who is tending that field? Who is watering it? What kind of seeds are being sown each day through the words you hear, the voices you allow, the things you absorb in silence? We live in a generation that glorifies noise, constant input, endless opinions,